Have you ever wondered what it's like to be the last person on Earth? Imagine waking up one day, ordinary as any other, yet something feels incredibly off. The alarm clock blares its usual symphony of sound, a harsh reminder of the day's beginning. But as you step outside, the world is wrapped in an eerie silence, a deafening quiet that seeps into your very bones. This is the disconcerting reality for the protagonist of our tale, a man who finds himself adrift in a world that, overnight, has been purged of human life. The city streets that once buzzed with the hum of life are now barren, a ghost town echoing with the remnants of a life that once was. The initial confusion is overwhelming, a fog of disbelief that clouds his mind. The world he knew just the day before, filled with the hustle and bustle of human existence, has been replaced by a hollow echo of what once was. He roams the empty streets, a solitary figure amidst a backdrop of desolation. His heart pounds in his chest as he embarks on a desperate search for other survivors, for any sign of life in this suddenly desolate world. He calls out into the silence, his voice a lonely beacon in the vast emptiness. Yet the silence only answers back, a chilling reminder of his solitude. The world as he knew it has been replaced by a haunting stillness. The familiar sounds of a bustling city, the distant hum of traffic, the laughter of children, the rhythmic beat of life. All have vanished, replaced by an eerie silence that seems to consume everything. The world is at a standstill, a monument to a life that once thrived, but now is no more. Days turn into nights, and still he finds no one. The loneliness is a palpable entity, a constant companion in his solitary existence. As the sun dips below the horizon, casting long shadows over the abandoned city, he feels the weight of the world on his shoulders. The chilling realization sinks in, he might truly be alone. As the sun set, he felt the weight of the world on his shoulders, the chilling realization that he might truly be alone. Imagine the place you call home turning against you, whispering threats in the dead of night. We now dive into the chilling tale of a family, much like any other, living in a house that was anything but ordinary. Their home, nestled amidst the serenity of suburbia, was a portrait of the American dream, complete with a white picket fence. But as twilight fell, the dream twisted into a nightmare. The house began to breathe with an eerie life of its own. Strange occurrences started to unfold, as inexplicable as they were terrifying. Doors slammed shut with no one in sight. Lights flickered on and off, as though playing a macabre game of hide-and-seek. Each creak of the floorboard, every rustle of the wind seemed to carry an ominous message. A spectral whisper carried through the air. Their nights were filled with sounds that defied explanation. A child's laughter echoed through empty halls. Footsteps paced back and forth upstairs when everyone was accounted for downstairs. Whispers filled the air, unintelligible yet unmistakably present. These were not the sounds of a home, but of a haunting. The family felt unseen eyes on them at all times. The air grew thick with unease, a chilling sensation that someone or something was watching. It was as if they were living in a perpetual state of trespass in their own home. The feeling grew more intense with each passing day, the fear creeping into their lives like an unwelcome guest. In a desperate bid for normalcy, the family attempted to escape the haunting. They moved furniture, performed cleansing rituals, even sought help from paranormal experts, but the haunting clung to the house, to them like a shadow. Their every attempt to dispel the fear only seemed to stoke the unseen entity's ire, the disturbances growing more frequent, more intense. The walls of their home, once a symbol of safety, now echoed with unseen horrors. The house they had once found comfort in had turned into a chilling adversary. And as we delve deeper into this tale, we find that the true horror was not in the haunting itself, but in the terrifying realization that there was no escape. What lurks beneath the surface, in the dark depths of the ocean? The question sends a shiver down the spine, doesn't it? The answer, my friends, lies in the tale of a brave or perhaps foolhardy deep-sea diver who dared to plunge into the abyss. Our intrepid explorer, armed with nothing but a high-pressure suit and a flickering torch, ventured where few had dared to tread. Down, down, down he descended, into the inky black void where the sun's rays never reach. The deeper he went, the stranger the world became. The water, once a vibrant blue, now took on a Stygian hue, as if the ocean itself sought to swallow him whole. The silence was deafening, broken only by the creak of his suit and the sound of his own heartbeat. The pressure was immense, a constant reminder of the hostile, alien world he had entered. Bizarre, monstrous creatures began to emerge from the darkness, things that twisted the imagination and defied explanation. Creatures with too many eyes, too many teeth, and bodies that seemed to shimmer and shift in the ghostly light of his torch. They were the stuff of nightmares, the denizens of the darkest corners of the sea, where humanity was never meant to tread. Our diver was no longer an explorer, but a prey. A tiny, insignificant creature in a world of giants. Each moment was a desperate fight for survival, a struggle against the crushing depths and the horrifying creatures that called it home. Fear was his constant companion, as tangible as the water that surrounded him. What was supposed to be a journey of exploration had transformed into a descent into madness. The ocean's depths held no treasure, only terror. Each brush with the unknown, each narrow escape, chipped away at his sanity. And so he returned, forever changed by his journey into the abyss. He had stared into the void, and the void had stared back. The sea had shown him its true face, a face of terror and awe, of beauty and horror. In the dark depths of the ocean, he found not treasure but terror. Have you ever felt the forest watching you, its ancient eyes filled with malevolent intent? Our tale now leads us to an unfortunate hiker, lost in a forest that seemed to pulsate with a life of its own. The trees stood tall and menacing, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal hands in an eternal plea for solace. The silence was deafening, save for the occasional rustling of leaves, which sounded more like whispered threats than the simple sway of foliage in the wind. The hiker, a man of sturdy character and adventurous spirit, felt an unusual chill snake down his spine. The forest, he realized, was not merely an assembly of trees and shrubs. It was an entity, an ancient being that watched his every move with an ominous gaze. As he ventured deeper, he began to notice strange phenomena. Shadows seemed to move independently, morphing into grotesque shapes that danced in the corners of his vision. He could hear the faint echo of laughter, a chilling sound that seemed to emanate from the very heart of the forest. Every step he took was met with resistance, as if the forest itself was trying to swallow him whole. The air grew heavier, the earth beneath his feet seemed to shift, and the once familiar path twisted into a labyrinth of darkness and despair. His heart pounded in his chest as he stumbled through the underbrush, the feeling of unseen eyes upon him growing stronger. His skin prickled with goosebumps as the wind carried whispers of his name, a spectral chorus that echoed through the dense thicket. His desperate struggle to escape intensified. He ran, his heart hammering in his chest, his breath ragged. His senses heightened in the pitch-black night, every rustle, every snap of a twig amplified to a deafening roar. Yet, he could not escape. The forest held him in its grip, a merciless captor. He was a mere pawn in its game, a plaything for its amusement. The forest, he realized, was not just alive, it was sentient, it was hostile. In the heart of the forest he found not tranquility, but a living nightmare. What if the things that go bump in the night are more real than you ever imagined? This question is the heart of our final fright, where the lines between dream and reality blur, where the unthinkable becomes the undeniable. Imagine, if you will, our protagonists from each previous tale. The lone traveler seeking refuge in the haunted homestead, the diver plunging into the dark depths, the wanderer lost in the forest of fear. Seemingly separate souls united by a common thread of terror. But what if I told you that these are not separate individuals, but facets of the same man? Yes, you heard it right. These are not disparate nightmares, but the fragmented dreams of one man, a man trapped in a maze of his own fears. Each story, each fright, a mirror reflecting a piece of him, a piece of his terror. The haunted homestead, a symbol of his fear of the past and its ghosts. The dark depths, a manifestation of his fear of the unknown, the unseen. The forest of fear, an embodiment of his fear of losing his way, his fear of being alone. As we weave these threads together, we see the tapestry of his terror unfold. A single man, tormented by his own fears, facing them over and over again in his dreams. Each night, a new horror. Each dawn, a new revelation. Until finally, he comes face to face with the horrifying truth. The true monster was not hidden in the shadows of the haunted homestead, nor lurking in the dark depths, nor stalking him in the forest of fear. The true monster was within him, in the darkest corners of his own mind. His fears, his insecurities, his nightmares, they were the real horror. In the end, he realized that the true horror was not in the world around him, but in his own mind. The final fright, the ultimate horror, lies not without, but within. It is not the world that frightens us, but the monsters we create in our heads.